in terms of making your whole process better in terms of understanding retention and turnover, the first thing I would recommend is just having better measurement and ways to diagnose. Uh, we could spend a full hour just talking about the different ways to measure turnover. There are many ways to do it. I sometimes joke there's many ways to measure turnover, and they're all wrong. And they're they're all wrong because it depends on what you want to know. The most common way that you see turnover measured is the company just looks at their active headcount and looks at the number of people who left over the past 12 months, and that's the turnover rate. But it doesn't tell you anything about the when people leave. And people don't, your likelihood of leaving a company is not the same on day two as it is on day, 1,002. So generally, you will see that people don't quit when they first start. Then they become more likely to quit. So the curve kind of has a peak, and that peak varies a lot. Retail jobs, the peak happens around 30 days. For white collar jobs, it may be 2 years. And then once you get past that peak, the longer they stay, the less likely that they are to leave. So it matters a lot when you're counting the bodies who are leaving and wanting to categorize those in a way that tells you when they're leaving. And for that reason, I'm a strong advocate for using survival analysis instead of or as a supplement to the normal way that you're the measuring turnover. A second thing I would do is I wouldn't get rid of exit interviews. I would do those, but I would also recommend always doing an exit survey process. It can give you great data. It's very inexpensive and pretty easy to implement a process like that. So the exit surveys, I'm sorry, exit interviews. What you want to do is to make sure that whoever's doing the exit interviews, which hopefully is an HR person, uh, that that they know how to ask questions and how to probe and try to really get at a root cause so that you can improve the accuracy of your coding at that point. And to develop a set of exit reason codes that is comprehensive and make sure that the employees know how to use the codes. Uh, at Walmart, and I believe similarly at Lilly, we had more than 70 exit reasons, and that's just too many. I think that you need to come down to a reasonable number, and that and just think about whether your actions would be different based on the code, so that that you get a list of codes that you can work with, and ideally, if they mirror what you put in the exit survey in some way, that makes it easier to do the comparisons between interview coding and what you learn in the survey. For the exit survey, I already mentioned, make sure you have a way to contact them. Send it out 30 to 60 days after exit. When we did it at Lilly, we did it a little bit longer than that. We started out doing this a long time ago, and we were actually doing it with mail, so it wasn't possible to get the surveys to people immediately. But I would wait long enough for them to have any bad taste washed out of their mouth from their experience, but you don't want to go so long that they no longer care or remember why they left. So the 30 to 60 days after exit, that range seems to work pretty well. Uh, and then I mentioned this before, but include at least one kind of intent to leave or stay item on your engagement survey, and you use that information to kind of help you diagnose. Use that as a surrogate. One other thing that I really like is to use onboarding surveys. One of the things that we've learned from uh, doing research is that an employee's happiest day on the job is the first day, and it just gets worse after that. And so the learning what's happening early on can be very useful in driving your retention strategy. And we learned that many of the people who left can identify something that happened, very early in the first few weeks that said, "Oh, well, that's how things are going to work around here." So these early experiences are important, and having a good onboarding survey that you would do certainly like within the first month, it can be helpful in helping you figure out these exit reasons. And then, I mentioned some of this before, but when employees start, their first day is their happiest day. Their expectations are high. They're super happy, and then over time, either their satisfaction tends to drop, and their expectations may not drop accordingly. So having this data and like understanding for your populations how those change over time can be very very useful.